Geoff Barker Rock and Roll, Sunday night on the BBC. Right, my first rock and roll record now, but an elongated version of it. We're going to talk to Dick Callan of Matchbox, rockabilly hitmakers from the early 80s. His first rock and roll record, of course, but other stuff besides, including Matchbox. Here he is with them on Midnight Dynamos.
Charge from the gas garage, explode like dynamite. We are the Midnight Dynamos, only come alive when the old moon shows. We are the midnight Dynamos. We are the Midnight Dynamos, baby get a load of our fancy clothes. We are the midnight Dynamos. We are the Midnight Dynamos, only come alive when the old moon shows. We are the midnight Dynamos. We are the Midnight Dynamos, baby get a load of our fancy clothes. We are the midnight Dynamos. You are the Midnight Dynamos. You are the Midnight Dynamos. You are the Midnight Dynamos.
Geoff Barker Rock and Roll, Sunday night on the BBC. Such a great bit of commercial rock and roll, which is why it was a great big hit in the summer of 1980. That's Matchbox and Midnight Dynamos. That was the follow-up to their previous hit, Buzz Buzzer Diddle It, which was a follow-up to the very first big one, Rockabilly Rebel. It was such great times then. If you were around, I'm sure you will remember it with me. It was just wonderful to see all the bands that have been on our rock and roll scene, doing the pubs and clubs, suddenly on TV, on top of the pops and in the charts. People like Matchbox and the Jets and Polecats, and of course 1980 was the year Shaky had his first hit as well. So tonight's my first rock and roll record. It's just a little bit different and a bit more in it as well. I thought we'd get on one of the guys from the band. Matchbox at that time were augmented by a guitarist, multi-instrumentalist called Dick Callan. And Dick has been a name and a face on the British rock and roll scene for a long time. He founded a band called Cadillac and later in Rock House. Both bands still going today, still working. We're going to find out about that. And also he played in a band called The Avengers, who still do occasional gigs as well. He wrote to me a few weeks back with his first rock and roll record. And I thought, well, why doesn't he come on? And we'll talk about that, of course. And also his illustrious career in British rock and roll. And you will recognise the guy if you go on YouTube. There's loads of clips of him with Matchbox doing all that stuff, which we will talk about. Anyway, Dick lives in London. Hello, Dick.
Geoff, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Great to talk to you. What a long and illustrious career you've had in this business.
I did a bit of calculating today, and I did my first gig 56 years ago.
No, really? Goodness
Yeah.
me.
And you'd think I'd be getting it right by now, wouldn't you?
Keep practicing, mate. Wonderful stuff. Now, we're going to talk about your first rock and roll record, which we'll just give a little tease to it now. It was the second single by one of Britain's biggest ever stars, and the person in question, when the record came out, didn't like it at all and really didn't want to know anything about it and felt it was the end of the career. It clearly wasn't, and we're going to find out. People might have an idea who that is. But talking about your two bands, Cadillac, Rockhouse, still going, still busy. You've got loads of gigs in the books with both those bands, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was out in Italy last month with Cadillac. Rockhouse have got an album coming out soon. So, yeah, pretty busy.
Now, tell us about the Matchbox days. Obviously, they were, at the time you joined them, they were the biggest rock and roll band on the scene in terms of on the charts, in the charts, on TV. They'd had Rockabilly Rebel, and then you had a couple of great big hits. A great big hit with the cricket song, When You Ask About Love. You were telling me that when you were tell us the story. You were playing the Palladium, and they brought over a very special person from Nashville. Tell us all that, what that was about.
They did. Well, that Ask About Love was our biggest single in the UK. And we was playing the Palladium, and they actually flew over Sonny Curtis to present us with the silver discs. And I kept in touch with him over the years, and when I did that first album with the Avengers, he wrote the sleeve notes on it as well.
Isn't that nice? I could say, if anyone's wondering, Sonny and Jerry, J.I. Allison, wrote the song. It was on a Cricket's album, and he must have been chuffed to bits with you having such a great big hit, because it was a big top 5 hit, wasn't it?
That was amazing, you know, and the videos we did for it, and
yeah.
But it was, I'll tell you what, it was so hectic. One year we did over 200 flights, which is quite a lot, and I remember we did 3 countries in something like 48 hours.
I'll tell you what, Dick, let's play that song now, because I always loved it. This is Matchbox doing the cricket song, When You Ask About Love.
Don't cry on my shoulder, rely on someone who's older. I don't know what to tell you when you ask about love. I think I know what's wrong with you. I've been going steady too long with you. I don't know what to tell you when you ask about love. What you feel for me is infatuation. It all started back during summer vacation. Someone else needs my attention. I can't go steady with you no more. Don't cry on my shoulder. Rely on someone who's older. I don't know what to tell you when you ask about love. What you feel for me is infatuation. It all started back during summer vacation. Someone else needs my attention. I can't go steady with you no more. Don't cry on my shoulder. Rely on someone who's older. I don't know what to tell you when you ask about love. I think I know what's wrong with you. I've been going steady too long with you. I don't know what to tell you when you ask about love.
Geoff Barker, Rock and Roll, Sunday night at the BBC. Elongated my first rock and roll feature tonight. We talked to a man who's had a great career in British rock and roll, still doing it today. Dick Callan, guitarist, multi-instrumentalist. Played on that one, Matchbox's biggest hit, When You Ask About Love. Lovely song. You got silver discs as well, that's great.
Yeah, and I've got couple of gold albums from Scandinavia as well.
That's fantastic. You play sax, and I've seen you some videos of you playing violin as well on stuff.
Yeah, I did Babes in the Wood on Top of the Pops with a fiddle. I eventually ended up on the guitar, but because Matchbox had two other guitars, my duties were to augment in the band, and so I used to do a lot of mandolin or the sax, on buzz, that type of thing,
Sure.
and I'd have an acoustic guitar there, the violin. I used to have about 5 or 6 instruments on stage with me,
Excellent. What was it like doing Top of the Pops? And can you remember who some of the people you were on with in those days? I know you did it several times, didn't you?
Yeah, we did it loads. Telly Savalas was there, Duran Duran, Anika.
Oh, goodness
Japanese
me.
boy, she
Japanese
did.
boy, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, what used to happen was they had shows all over Europe, like Top of the Pops, their own version of it. And what used to happen was we'd get on a plane to go over and do Music Garden or whatever, and the whole plane would be full up with the people from the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you get on there, there'd be Sting there and Status Quo, and we was on with Duran Duran, and it was their first appearance. I see old Simon Le Bon was a little bit nervous, so I sort of went, look, don't worry, it's dead easy. Don't forget, you've got 18 million people watching you.
Oh, great. Tell us about the time Matchbox teamed up with the late, much-missed Kirsty MacColl, who I just love. She had a wonderful voice, and you made a couple of tunes, a couple of singles with her, didn't you? One I Want to Play called I Want Out.
Yeah, that was written by Brian Hodgson,
Yeah.
bass player at the time. And I got on with her really well, fantastic girl. And they put it out, and Magnet suddenly realised they hadn't got an agreement with her management company. So they all sort of, when you get, right, we want to volunteer and everyone takes a step backwards, except me. And I got the job of going over to placate the management. We got it all sorted out, we came to a financial arrangement, and off it went, got Top of the Pops with it. And
yeah, I know. Great video on YouTube of you doing that. I'll tell you what we do, because you've got so many things to talk about, and we will get onto your first rock and roll record. We'll play that song now, Dick, and then we'll come back and talk about some other bits and pieces, and then play the song that you bought all those years ago, and you can tell us what happened to it. Geoff Barker Rock and Roll, Sunday night on the BBC, talking to Dick Callan from Matchbox and Cadillac and Rock House, and we're going to play a great track now. This is Matchbox with Kirsty MacColl and I Want Out.
I wanna, I gotta get away from you. I wanna,
Matchbox with Kirsty MacColl, and I always love that track. Great country track. Someone should redo that, I think. Talking to the man who played guitar on it, Dick Callan of Matchbox and other bands as well. And in talking about his first rock and roll record, which is how this has all come about. While I've got you on as a guitarist, who were your guitar heroes? Who inspired you to pick up a guitar?
Well, in the first instance, it was Chuck Berry, and I was lucky enough to end up doing a tour with him. But obviously others, I mean, Albert Lee is great. A few gigs with him, inspirational. Danny Gatton, and of course Mickey G.
From Memphis Band and all those shaky records he played on, eh?
Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic.
OK, Dick, your first rock and roll record, you bought it. How did you first hear it, and where did you first hear it, and what really attracted you to it?
It was on Luxembourg, and I was listening on a Cat's Whiskers set under the bedclothes. And I heard it, and it sounded like proper rock and roll to me. I loved it. It's a great song.
So you bought it, and you said you got it on a 78, which, if you still had it today, we're worth a few bob, but you had it, and then what happened to the 78?
Well, I played it once, and I put it down on the sofa, unfortunately, and I sat on it.
Oh, dear.
Broke it.
You and millions of others did that, I think. Just out of interest, all the bands you've been in over the years, have you ever done this song? Don't mention what it is. Have you ever done it in your sets?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. I've played a few of these before.
Yeah.
I've never done that one.
Dick, before we get onto that, I'm going to always ask, do you want to say hi to anyone while you're on the air?
That's very kind, yes. I'd like to say hi to my daughter Elizabeth, my son Vincent, and also to all the rock and roll fans that come along to the gigs. Not just ours, but all the live gigs, and they keep the rock and roll movement alive.
OK, Dick, your first rock and roll record, the person in question didn't like it when it came out. He thought his career was over because his first record had been a real groundbreaking bit of British rock and roll. And the second one, I've interviewed him many times, he said to me he felt this one was going back to earlier types of rock and roll and didn't have this sort of originality to it.
Yeah, a bit like Tommy Steele and, Rock
Yes.
of the Cavemen and all that style of thing.
It's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Dick, it's been great to talk to you, and I shall be plugging some of your gigs as well, playing some of the tracks. Anyway, tell us, Dick Callan from Matchbox and Rockhouse and Cadillac and everybody else down the years, what was your first rock and roll record?
It was High Class Baby by Cliff and the Drifters.
Bye-bye, baby doll, I find you too high class. I bought myself a ticket, but you won't let me pass. This plain champagne and caviar are all very grand, but I prefer just rocking to a rock and roll band. You find a joint at the hopping and a cat at the bopping, and there'll be no stopping me, wait and see. Lot of things I gotta do, go put on my dancing shoes, honey, I salute the blues, bye-bye, my baby. Well, go and find a rich man, put your arms around him, tell him that you love him, and then go out and drown him. Baby, with your riches, you'll find true happiness. But I still hear it rocking, cause it's what I love the best. In a joint, it's a hopping and a cat, it's a bopping, and there'll be no stopping me, wait and see. Lot of things I gotta do, go put on my dancing shoes, honey, I'll salute the blues, and bye-bye, my baby. Bye-bye, baby doll, I find you too high class. I bought myself a ticket, but you won't let me pass. This pink champagne and caviar are all very grand, but I prefer just rocking to a rock and roll band. You find a joint, it's a hopping and a cat, it's a bopping, and there'll be no stopping me, wait and see. Lot of things I gotta do, go put on my dancing shoes, honey, I salute the blues, bye-bye, my baby. You got a sable big and a Cadillac car, but believe me, honey, you're taking it too far. You can't find a true love with a sack of gold. Come on and love me, little honey, before you grow too old. In a joint, it's a hopping and a cat, it's a bopping, and there'll be no stopping me, wait and see. Lot of things I gotta do, go put on my dancing shoes, honey, I'll salute the blues. Wait until you hear the news. It's to my own true, my very own true. It's to my high class, baby. Baby is so high class.
You can just see him, can't you? Standing there in his pink suit, black shirt, pink tie, curling that lip. I love that track. Cliff and the Drifters.
Don't be mean, baby.
He really went for it, didn't he? Wonderful stuff. The first rock and roll record bought by Dick Callan of Matchbox on a 78, and then he promptly went and sat on it. Actually, that did quite well for Cliff. Gave him a top 10 hit just before Christmas 1958. No Shadows on, though. That was the session musicians, the same guys who played on Move It, Ernie Shear on lead guitar. Great to talk to Dick. Hope you enjoyed that. And I thought I'd just play one track by his current band from their forthcoming album. These are Rockhouse doing a great version of a rockabilly classic that we all discovered and loved in the 70s. Rockhouse and Quicksand Love from their upcoming album. I'll play some more as and when you can get hold of it, and it's out. And if you want to check out more about them and his other band as well, they are on Facebook. Rockhouse, just do a Facebook search on that. That was originally done by a record on for a tiny little record label in Memphis called Light Records by a guy called Macy Skipper. And copies of that on original 45 were so rare, it was unbelievable. My buddy Stu Coleman had one. I remember talking about the first time that It's Rock and Roll went to air, which is the anniversary of which next week, 1976. I think one of the very first editions of that, he brought his treasured 45 in and played it and caused a minor sensation with everybody around the country. Couldn't get hold of it. But there we are. Macy Skipper original. That's Rockhouse and Quicksand Love. And his other band, if you want to check out Dick Callan's other band, they are Cadillac. And my thanks to Dick. It was great stuff. If you want to go on Facebook and just put in Matchbox Top of the Pops, you'll find loads of the stuff come up. And he's the guy who used to wear a red cheese cutter as well as playing violin and sax and all the rest of it, as you have heard.